Why do humans dream? Chapter 1. The Night Theater. Imagine this. You climb into bed with the day still buzzing in your bones, emails, errands, a laugh that lingered longer than you expected, a worry you couldn't quite shelve. Lights go out, the city exhales, and then, silently, your mind raises a velvet curtain. A river overflows the boundaries of a familiar street. A friend's face wears a stranger's voice. A door opens onto a field from your childhood, except the grass is cobalt and the stars hang low like fruit. You run, or float, or simply watch. You wake with a pulse of understanding you cannot phrase. What did that mean? Why did your brain choose that? Why do humans dream? Is the kind of question that returns to us like the tide, ancient, intimate, and unending. For centuries we answered with poetry and prophecy, with coded messages from gods or ancestors, with nightly telegrams from the soul. And yet, even with brain scanners humming and sleep labs ticking, the why has resisted a single, tidy line. Not because there is no answer, but because there are many, and they braid together. Dreaming is not one machine with one switch. It is a theater employing dozens of crafts at once. Set design, lighting, music, choreography, memory, emotion, and prediction, rehearsing tomorrow with yesterday's props under tonight's constraints. The first thing to grasp is that dreams are not a decorative side effect of sleep. They are one of sleep's hard problems. The human brain, more than any machine we've ever built, is a prediction engine. It survives by guessing well. Dreams are like overnight updates to that engine, patches, rewirings, stress tests, and, occasionally, improvisational experiments. While you are still, your brain is not. It is composing the 2 stages, 2 moods. Sleep itself comes in waves. There's non-rapid eye movement, (REM), which includes deep, slow-wave sleep. And there's rapid eye movement, (REM sleep), when your eyes flick beneath closed lids and your body, mercifully, is paralyzed. We dream in both, but the style differs. NREM dreams tend to be briefer, more fragmentary thoughts with pictures. REM dreams, by contrast, are cinematic, long arcs, wild transitions, emotional crescendos, impossible physics accepted without protest. If dreams are a theater, NREM handles scene changes, sanding down rough edges, filing the day's paperwork. REM stages the play. It turns the emotional volume up and lets logic loosen. Both matter. NREM seems to stabilize and scaffold new learning. REM seems to remix and integrate that learning with what you already are. You can think of NREM as print, laying down ink, and REM as poetry, giving that ink a voice. When the 2 alternate in 90-minute cycles, the brain is layering reality and possibility, fact and feeling, until the fabric of your personal world is strong enough for morning memory. The archivist at work. One of the most compelling reasons we dream is memory specifically, consolidation and integration. You don't keep every email, you file what matters. The hippocampus, your brain's short-term librarian, collects episodes from your day. The route you took, the face you met, the joke that landed. During sleep, especially slow-wave NREM, this librarian replays patterns of activity through the cortex, a vast network that stores the long-term archive. In rats, neurons involved in navigating a maze fire in the same sequences during sleep, as if reliving the run. In humans, practicing a skill or studying material is followed by measurable gains after sleep. We don't just rest, we write. But consolidation is only half the story. Integration is the other. The brain is not merely a hard drive, it's a living city. New memories must find addresses, and they change the neighborhood. Dreams stitch new threads into old fabric. That's why dream plots often braid recent scraps with ancient scenes. Today's colleague shows up in your fifth-grade classroom. Your current apartment blends with your grandmother's kitchen. The memory that returns in the morning is not the memory you stored. It is softer in some spots, brighter in others. We remember what we value, and we value what our sleeping minds rehearse. Emotion, the night therapist. If memory is the archivist, emotion is the conductor, and the orchestra plays loudest in REM. Brain regions that fire when you feel fear, joy, longing, shame, delight. These regions light up during dreaming. Meanwhile, areas responsible for top-down control and cool rational critique go quiet. That mix is crucial. By lowering the grip of cognitive censorship and keeping emotional networks vivid, dreams create a safe simulation chamber where you can experience a feeling without the full-throttle consequences of reality. Consider grief. During the day, grief can be like weather, too strong, too sudden. In dreams, you might meet the person you've lost at a train station without trains. You might hear them say what they never got to say. You might watch them leave in a way that allows you to stay. The dream isn't true in the literal sense, but it lets your nervous system handle the sensation in a softer container. Night after night, the rawness blunts. The sight of their sweater no longer explodes into panic. It aches, but it does not shatter. Dreams don't erase pain, they metabolize it. This overnight therapy extends to stress and fear. Our most common nightmares, being chased, falling, failing an exam we forgot to attend, are not prophecies. They are rehearsals. Think of them as exposure therapy, written by a poet. The mind conjures a threat, then lets you feel it at a volume you can survive. Over time, your waking response to similar stressors is less catastrophic. You have, quite literally, practiced. Creativity, the remix studio. The night is also a studio. Your brain's association networks, unshackled from waking routines, throw a party, paint and wood shavings everywhere, boundaries blur. A smell from a bus ride in childhood becomes the color of a coat in your dream, which becomes the title of a song you'll write at lunch. In the daylight, we tend toward efficiency. We prune. At night, we allow redundancy, the luxury of wandering. This is not random noise, it's exploration. The same property that makes dreams feel strange, loose transitions, juxtapositions makes them fertile. A chemist dreams an image that hints at a ring structure. A coder dreams an interface that later becomes intuitive. A painter wakes with a palette she couldn't have named before bed. Dreams are not instruction manuals. They are mood boards, flashcards thrown in the air and caught in a new order. They give you weird drafts so that daytime you can select, refine, and ship. If you've ever kept a dream journal, you know the effect. You don't harvest meaning by decoding symbols like a Victorian detective. You gather textures, a line of dialogue from a dream, a line that no one said can start a novel. The dream is not a map, it's a spark. But sparks matter. A life without sparks becomes a ledger. The brain resists that. It is not a spreadsheet alone. It is a theater, a workshop. Prediction, the world modeler. Beneath memory and emotion and creativity lies a deeper reason. Predictive modeling. The simplest way to say it is that the brain is constantly trying to predict what its own inputs will be next, and to minimize surprise. During the day, it learns which predictions were wrong. At night, deprived of sensory data, it runs scenarios to refine the model. Dreams are what it feels like to inhabit those scenarios. Imagine an athlete who can't train on the field. They walk the patterns, visualize the play, let muscles rehearse without strain. The dream does something similar for your mind. You test how you'd respond to an argument, a car swerve, a chance meeting. You imagine outcomes and absorb their emotional implications, not as theory but as felt experience. That felt part is important. The body keeps score of reality and possibility alike. The same neural storms that color waking life with urgency or relief can fire in a dream, but at a discount. You get the lesson without the broken vase. When you wake, you're not a blank slate. You're a slightly updated version of yourself with micro adjustments to expectations. Maybe you're a degree more ready to say no, or a fraction less likely to step into a pattern that hurt you last time. This is not magic, it's calibration. Biology, the chemistry of permission. There's a neurochemical backdrop to all this, a set of knobs that twist as you sleep. In REM, certain neurotransmitters drop norepinephrine, which is tied to orienting responses and alert vigilance, declines. Acetylcholine, which sharpens cortical activity, rises. The effect is a brain that is awake inside and turned down outside. Vivid internal imagery, reduced external gating, relaxed critical filter. Simultaneously, muscle tone falls away. You do not act what you dream. Thank goodness. This internal state gives permission for memory to replay, for emotion to rehearse, for association to roam. Think of it as a set of lighting cues and sound levels in the theater. You could deliver the same lines under fluorescent office lights and get nothing. With the stage lights, the strings, the hush, everything lands. Chemistry sets that stage. We should be honest. We are far from cataloging every knob. The more we learn, the more complex it becomes. But the broad pattern holds. Dreaming is not a glitch. And the chemistry of REM and NREM doesn't exist to keep us entertained. It exists to keep us adaptable. Culture. The story we tell about stories. Humans don't only dream, we talk about our dreams, around fires, over breakfast, in therapy, in text threads. This social layer is not incidental. When you tell a dream, you are doing a second sort of integration, translating private data into public language. You decide which parts matter, and in doing so, you decide what matters to you. Listeners respond. They don't decode your symbols. They mirror and ask and offer. Culture becomes a distributed brain, metabolizing dream content at the community level. Is that why so many myths begin like dreams? A desert opens to a sea, a god becomes a bird, a hero enters a cave and exits a different person. Our oldest stories read like REM scripts because they were practiced there where fear can be faced and risk rehearsed without blood. Art pulls a thread from the night and knits it into a cloth we can wrap around our daylight. When a society loses its stories, it loses its dream work by proxy. Nightmare, the edge of the stage. But what of nightmares that repeat, that erode sleep, that make the theater feel like a trap? If dreams are rehearsals, why do some of us rehearse a single terror for months? The simplest answer is that The system can get stuck. Trauma is a rehearsal that won't end. The nervous system replays the worst because it is trying desperately to learn how not to be surprised by it. In such cases, therapeutic approaches exist that engage with the dream content directly, rewriting endings, rehearsing new responses in waking life, then inviting the brain to try those in the night. Again, the goal isn't decoding a symbol, it's changing a response. The theater is ours to direct, but sometimes we need help with the script. Science and humility. A confession. Any grand singular explanation should make you suspicious. Dreaming is too ancient and too conserved across species to serve only one purpose. Cats twitch. Octopuses blush through colors as if their skins are screens. Infants spend half their sleep in REM, their brains buzzing with construction. It's unlikely that all this energy is for nothing, or that it's strictly for memory or strictly for emotion. Nature economizes by multiplexing. A single routine serves many needs. Dreaming is multiplexed. We should also admit that our tools, however miraculous, are still early. We can measure patterns and perturb circuits and gather reports, but we cannot yet read a dream off a scan like subtitles. That uncertainty isn't a failure, it's a frontier. And frontiers, as any explorer knows, are both humbling and exhilarating. The question, why do humans dream, keeps paying dividends because it demands that we think not only about neurons, but about stories, not only about molecules, but about meaning. Practical whisper, what dreaming offers you tonight. As you read this, you may be tempted to shift the question from the abstract to the intimate. Okay, fine, but why did I dream that? The frameworks above can guide you. Was your day heavy with new learning? Expect your night to replay and file. Did your day run hot with feeling you didn't have time to fully feel? Expect your night to process it theatrically. Are you stuck on a problem? Prime the studio, immerse in the problem, then let the night remix. Are you healing from something that shocked you? Expect your night to insist on rehearsals until the shock becomes sayable. 2 small practices can amplify what you get from dreaming without turning it into a superstition. First, give your dreams a place to land. Keep a notebook by the bed or a voice memo app. Record a few lines upon waking, not as an oracle, but as data. Over weeks, you'll notice patterns, recurring settings, emotional climates, unresolved motifs. You will get to know your night theater's favorite props. Second, set a gentle intention before sleep, not a command, show me the meaning of life, but an invitation. Help me lay down this fear, help me soften this knot, or simply, tonight, let me rest. The brain is suggestible. It will take the stage notes you offer, the shared dream. Zoom out with me one last time. When humanity dreams, we are not only editing personal memories, we are quietly rehearsing civilization. Every invention began as a mental recombination. Every act of courage was first felt in the body as if it had already happened. Parents have dreams that teach them how to be kinder the next day. Leaders have dreams that warn them against hubris. Artists bring back fragments of impossible landscapes and build them in daylight. Dreaming feeds the river of possibility that runs beneath the street of routine. Perhaps that is the deepest answer to our question. We dream because we are the animal that tells stories, and stories are rehearsal for reality. We dream because the brain refuses to be only a mirror of what has been. It insists on sketching what could be. We dream because life is too complex to learn at one speed. We need a day brain to execute and a night brain to explore. We dream because it makes us better at being awake. Tonight, when you turn out the light, a familiar hush will gather around you. Somewhere a siren will call and fade. Somewhere a dog will settle, then sigh. The city will dim its eyes. Inside your skull, stagehands will begin to work. They will adjust the scrims and jails, check the trapdoor, sweep confetti from last night's storm. The conductor will raise a baton. The archivist will wheel out a cart of scenes. The playwright will tap a pencil. The actor's fear and joy and hope and the stranger you are becoming will take their places. And when the curtain rises, you will enter the only world that belongs to you entirely, built with pieces of the day, powered by the dark, watched by no one and everyone you have ever been. It will be strange. It will be true. It will matter. Tomorrow, we will ask, what do these plays mean, and how can we work with them on purpose? But for now, let the stage go black. Let the orchestra warm the room. Let the question drift across the threshold of sleep like a moth toward lamplight. Why do humans dream? Because we are still becoming, and the night is how we learn. Chapter 2. Working with the night. In the dark, the theater plays on whether or not you care to attend, but a quietly radical idea waits at the edge of the bed. You can meet the night halfway. If Chapter 1 answered why we dream memory, emotion, creativity, prediction, this chapter is about what to do with that knowledge. How do you befriend your dreams without turning them into superstitions or tyrants? How do you let them teach you without letting them rule you? How do you wake with something you can actually use? Think of this as a traveler's guide to the country behind your eyes. The terrain is familiar and strange at once. Alleys that lead to childhood kitchens, deserts that bloom with skyscrapers, oceans that rise inside apartments. Your passport is simple attention. Your luggage is lighter than you think. A notebook, a question, a willingness to be honest. Your itinerary is not fixed. The night doesn't respect straight lines, but there are landmarks, practices, ideas, cautions that can turn wandering into a pilgrimage. The first principle: meaning is made, not found. Let's start by dismantling a stubborn myth. Dreams are not vending machines that dispense fixed meanings if you punch in the right symbol code. There is no universal dictionary entry for teeth falling out or flying over a city. The same image can sing 100 songs depending on who you are when you see it and what you need. A pilot dreaming she can't take off on a foggy runway has a different nervous system than a dancer who dreams of being airborne above a crowd. The meaning isn't hiding in the image. It emerges in the relationship between the image and your life. So, what do we do instead of decoding? We translate. We ask, what did it feel like? Where else do I feel that way in my days? What does this image want from me? Not, what does it predict? But, what does it point to? This is the pivot from superstition to practice. You're not a detective cracking a case. You're a gardener noticing what needs water. A useful rule: prioritize emotion over event. If you dream about missing your train and wake with a heavy shame, the plot is secondary. The feeling is data. Where in waking life do you fear being too late, too unprepared, too visible? Or perhaps the shame in the dream is a rehearsal for shedding it. You walk down the platform slowly. People watch. No one dies. And then the dream moves on. That might be your night therapy, turning down the heat. Before you hunt symbols, ask your body, What temperature was this dream? What was tight? What loosened? What wanted to move? A case file from last night. To make this concrete, imagine you wrote down the following. Dream. I'm in my high school auditorium. The stage curtain is blue instead of red. I'm supposed to play the piano, but the keys are made of soft wax. My mother is in the front row, knitting a long silver scarf that spills down the aisle. I try to play. The keys dent and stick to my fingers. The lights are too bright. A small girl walks onto the stage and hands me a glass of water with a goldfish in it. Everyone waits. I wake up frustrated and a little amused. There are many ways to engage this dream that avoid the trap of dictionary thinking. Emotional climate, frustration under scrutiny with a thread of humor. The body felt hot. The hands were sticky. Notice, where in your life do you feel expected to perform with the wrong tools? Where do you feel seen in ways that aren't helpful? The amusement suggests your mind has some distant good news. Characters as parts of you, the mother knitting, steadiness, continuity, old expectations, the silver scarf, time, lineage, something that keeps growing, the small girl, curiosity, beginner's mind, an interruption from innocence offering you water with life in it. Maybe your younger self has a suggestion. Don't perform perfectly. Play to keep something alive. Objects as messages. Wax keys. Talent softened by heat. Capacity altered by conditions. Bright lights. Exposure. Goldfish. Something small and breathing that needs care, not applause. Perhaps the dream's request is simple. Switch from performance to caretaking today. Make a choice that favors sustaining over showcasing. Action in the morning. You could write one concrete step on your to-do list. For the task I'm dreading, choose a tool that fits my hands. Or call the person whose approval I am quietly chasing and share one boundary. Or even do one thing badly on purpose to remind my nervous system we survive imperfection. The goal is not to obey a dream. It's to let it widen your options. A short manual for dreamers. You don't have to become a scholar of sleep to benefit from dreams. The practices below are simple enough to start tonight, yet deep enough to sustain a lifetime. 1. Prepare the stage. Respect the physiology. Most dream recall blooms from the last 2 REM-rich cycles near morning. You remember more when you sleep enough. 7 to 9 hours is not indulgence, it's access. Caffeine too late, alcohol before bed, or blue light at midnight can flatten the theater's lights. You don't have to be perfect, just more intentional than the algorithm wants you to be. Set a low-stakes intention. 1 line is enough. Tonight, let me see what I need to see, or help me ease this knot, or show me what wants to be said about X. Not a demand, an invitation. The intention focuses attention, and attention is fertilizer. Keep the tools near. A notebook and pen or a voice memo app by the bed. If you need glasses to write, put them within reach. Remove tiny frictions. 2. Catch the thread. Wake softly if you can. When possible, let yourself surface through light rather than violence. If an alarm is necessary, choose one that doesn't yank you across time zones. Before you move, ask, where was I? Catch a color, a texture, a line of dialogue. Don't judge, just fetch. Record first, interpret later. Get a few lines down raw. The mind is a talented editor, and it will erase odd angles, preserve the odd. Later, you can title Underline, sort, write in present tense. I am in the auditorium, my hands stick. This keeps you inside the feel and helps you notice your body's response. 3. Work with what you got. Name the feeling. 2 words. Tense relief, embarrassed curiosity. If words fail, draw a thermometer and mark the heat. Emotion is the compass. Ask 3 questions. Where in my life is this feeling already alive? What would this dream want from me, not from me? What is one gentle experiment I could run today, informed by this image? Share selectively. Sometimes telling a dream to a trusted friend or partner is part of the medicine, not for decoding, but for resonance. They might say, you have been playing wax keys at work. That echo breaks the trance. Dream incubation, calling a dream on purpose. People across cultures have asked their dreams for guidance. You can do this without mysticism. The steps. Clarify the question, not, should I change my life? But, what do I need to notice about my tension around this job? Or, what part of this relationship wants attention? The question should be about perception, not fate. About how to see, not what to get. Select an anchor. An object on your nightstand, a word on your notebook, a small drawing. This binds intention to a physical cue. Rehearse the ask. Twice before sleep, whisper the question once to yourself. Then let it go. You're not ordering a pizza, you're planting a seed. Harvest patiently. The answer may arrive as a dream, or as a line of thought at 10 a.m., or as a felt shift when you speak. Incubation produces not oracles, but useful hunches. Lucid dreaming, waking up inside the dream. Lucid dreaming occurs when you realize, mid-dream, this is a dream without waking. It can be delightful, a playground, or deeply instructive, a laboratory. The temptation is to turn it into a theme park. Fly, breathe underwater, conjure celebrities. Nothing wrong with joy, but the deeper power is relational. You can ask the dream itself for help. Practical entry points. Reality checks. Several times a day ask, am I dreaming? Then do a check. Look at your hands. Read a sentence twice. Dream text often shifts. Or gently try to push a finger through your palm. The aim is not to prove you're awake. It's to make the question a habit that follows you into sleep. Keep a stable anchor. When you become lucid, excitement can snap the thread. Rub your hands together, feel your feet, take a slow breath. Thank the dream for its weirdness. Gratitude stabilizes attention. Be a student. Instead of seizing control, be curious. Ask a recurring nightmare figure, what do you need? Ask the weather, what are you saying? Sit down in the dream and listen. You may be shocked at how swiftly the theater rewrites the scene when asked kindly. Transform rather than flee. If chased, turn around. If falling, choose to fall deeper and ask what lies below. If trapped, look for a door, and if none, draw one and walk. The night loves a daring improviser. Nightmares and trauma. Nightmares are not failures of the system. They are the system insisting on a rehearsal it hasn't finished. This is why scolding yourself to stop dreaming that rarely works. The nervous system replays until it learns. But you can change the rehearsal. Imagery, rehearsal therapy, IRT at home. Write the nightmare down in blunt strokes. Now change one thing in the script, not everything, one thing towards safety or agency. Maybe the pursuer slows, maybe a door appears, Maybe your grown self walks on stage and takes the child self's hand. Read the new version aloud once a day for a week, right before bed. You are teaching your brain a new groove. Regulate before you analyze. If you wake flooded, tend to the body first. Cool water on wrists, press your feet against a wall, hum a low note, lengthen your exhale. Meaning making can wait until your chemistry turns down. Know when to get help. If nightmares are frequent, violent, or tethered to known trauma, this is not a solo sport. Dream work paired with trauma-informed therapy can widen your window of tolerance in a way lone effort cannot. The point is not bravery, it's relief. Dreams across a lifetime. Dreams change as we do. Children dream in bright colors and simple plots. Monsters are common not because kids are broken, but because they're coding category boundaries. This safe, this not safe. Night terrors, distinct from nightmares, are more likely in deep sleep and rarely remembered. They are storms the child sleeps through. Gentle routine helps more than interpretation. Adolescents dream big and anxious. Identity is rehearsed. New bodies, new statuses, new tribes. Dreams test belonging. The best thing you can offer a teenager isn't meaning. It's a place to tell the dream without ridicule. Adults dream of logistics holding hands with longing, houses with too many rooms, cars without brakes, parties with no one you know. These dreams keep the day's complexity pliable. They are maintenance rituals for a crowded life. Elders dream of the long view, old friends, unfinished conversations, places that never were but feel like home. Many report more visitation dreams, beloved dead, returning not to haunt but to settle accounts of love. These are not evidence of anything supernatural they need to be. They are evidence of the psyche's instinct to close circles. Collective dreaming. We don't only dream as individuals, whole communities can become caught in shared dream themes during collective stress, floods, famines, wars, pandemics. The theater scales. Years later, anthropologists read the dreams like tree rings, layers of fear, adaptation, myth-making, humor. When you share a dream from such a season with a friend who lived through it, you are telling each other, we carried it. That is not small. There's also the creative commons of dreaming. Artists borrow from night scripts across centuries, and in doing so, they shape future dreams. Once a dragon enters culture, children dream dragons. Once a superhero flies, gravity loosens in a million night theaters. We feed each other images. Our private shows become a public repertoire. Creativity and practical work. The night is a studio in which constraint loosens just enough to allow invention. How to harvest that without romanticizing it? Cross-pollinate deliberately. Before bed, immerse briefly in material outside your domain. If you're a data scientist, leaf through a book of architecture. If you're a nurse, watch a documentary about coral reefs. You're stocking the workshop with odd lumber. Dream recombination thrives on variety. Mine for verbs, not nouns. Instead of waking to hunt for ideas, wake to hunt for actions. Did the dream's solution fold? Did it invert? Did it hide in plain sight? Translating the dream's move into a verb gives you a tool you can carry to any problem. Respect incubation periods. A dream-inspired hunch may need weeks before the daylight version is workable. Don't force it. Keep it warm. The theater will return to a promising scene on its own. 10. Sleepcraft, because biology is the floor. No practice survives against the grain of physiology. A few boring magical truths. Light leads. Morning light outside tells your clock where you are. 10 minutes is better than none. Evening screens argue with that clock. Use them kindly. Temperature matters. Cooler rooms favor deeper sleep. A warm bath an hour before bed can help by triggering a natural cool down. Rituals beat hacks. The same 3 steps before bed: wash face, dim lamp, write 1 line of gratitude. Do more for the theater than a pocket full of supplements. Repetition is the lullaby of the nervous system. If you wake at 3 a.m., be a good host. Don't wrestle the night to the ground. Sit up, sip water, write the stray thought that won't let go. Tell your body, we'll handle it tomorrow. And return to the bed like a parent tucking a child in. Fighting is caffeinating. The ethics and future of dream tech, we stand on a scientific threshold. Already, researchers can infer rough categories of imagery or emotional tone from brain activity during sleep. Already, consumer devices offer crude sleep scores that flatten a cathedral into a number. The future may bring gadgets that capture and reconstruct dream fragments, or tools that bias dream content more reliably. This is both enchanting and alarming. 3 ethical commitments to consider now. Privacy is sacred. Dreams are the most intimate theater we own. No boss, platform, or partner is owed your night. Consent must be explicit, revocable, and local. Data of this kind should not flow into markets that turn tenderness into advertising. Humility over hubris. A readout is not a dream. A heat map is not a memory. Interpretation should remain with the dreamer. Systems that pretend to tell you what it means will sell certainty at the cost of wisdom. Care over control. The aim of any technology touching our nights should be relief, not optimization. We are not machines to be rung for productivity. We are persons to be held by sleep. The dream is a commons where efficiency loses jurisdiction. Used well, technology can widen access to good sleep, stabilize circadian rhythms for shift workers, or support therapies for nightmare disorders. But the bright core of dream work will stay human, a person waking with a strange and useful story, telling it to another person who listens well. A field guide to 5 common dream motifs, not to decode them, but to show how you might work them. Teeth falling out. Feel helplessness, shame, loss of grip. Work. Notice where you fear being seen in a diminished state. Perform an act of maintenance. Dentist appointment, yes, but also call the friend you cancel on when embarrassed. Practice a sentence that restores agency. I need time, or I don't know yet. Flying. Feel exhilaration or fear of height. Work. When it's joy, ask where you've earned more lightness than you admit. When it's fear, ask where you climb too fast without a harness. Then take 1 grounded step. Delegate. Calendar arrest. Write the boundary you skipped. Being chased. Feel pursuit, panic. Work. In waking life, stop and face a small version of what you avoid: a bill, an apology, a doctor's appointment. In the dream, lucid, or journal, turn to the pursuer and ask, what message do you carry? Many beasts want to hand over mail, exams you forgot to study for. Feel unworthiness, exposure. Work. Target actuality versus imagination. Name 1 competency that is real and 1 small skill you can polish this week. Let the dream push you toward rehearsal instead of ruminating. Houses with extra rooms. Feel surprise, possibility, or dread. Work. Your psyche is showing square footage you haven't used. Open one door in waking life, sign up for the class, book the lesson, dust off the instrument, and visit for 15 minutes. Not as a rebrand, as a hello, a dialogue with the night. Some mornings, interpretation will feel like overreach. That's okay. Try a different form, conversation. Write the dream down as a script and answer it. You. Why were the keys made of wax? Dream. Because you're playing to heat you can't see. You. What happens if I stop? Dream. You'll think everyone leaves. No one does. You. What wants to live? Dream. The small fish. You. How do I care for it today? Dream. Fewer spotlights, more water. Is this real? It's useful, and usefulness is the point. You're allowing parts of yourself to speak that daylight drowns out. The theater gives you a language. You answer with a promise. The myth after the dream. We often think of myths as old stories told by other people. But myth is what happens when a private image becomes a public narrative you can live inside. A myth can be as small as a sentence, I am the kind of person who. That sentence guides your attention, sets your thresholds, shapes your courage. Dreams, over time, offer you raw materials for such sentences. If you notice that your night is full of locked rooms that open when you touch them, your myth might become, I am the one who tries the handle. If your night fills with storms you survive and then dance in, your myth might be, I am a weathered dancer. If your night repeatedly returns you to a shore where someone waves and you always refuse to swim, your myth might be, I am learning to enter. These are not affirmations pasted over fear. They are trajectories grounded in repeated rehearsal. When you share these myths quietly with people who love you, you begin to live them. You build rooms in daylight with doors that open. You learn dances that welcome rain. You wade into water and find that your body remembers floating. The dreamer's oath. If you wanted a compact creed to tape inside your notebook, let it be this. I will not bully the night for answers, nor will I ignore its offerings. I will treat images as companions, not commandments. I will honor feelings as weather, to be noticed, not obeyed. I will prefer one honest experiment to 10 clever interpretations. I will share selectively and listen generously. I will protect the privacy of my theater and respect the theaters of others. I will remember that I am not a machine. Sleep is not a shame, it is a teacher. I will let the night make me kinder to the day. Bringing it home, take for a moment the life you are actually living. The errands and deadlines, the half-finished apology, the project that still scares you because it matters, the habit you can't name but can feel grabbing your ankle when you try to run. Now, imagine you treat tonight as a collaborator, not a break. You clear the floor near your bed, you set the notebook out, you whisper a single question you'd carry in your pocket, even if no one ever answered. What would make tomorrow more honest? You sleep. A dream arrives not perfect, not grand. You are on a train that moves without noise. The windows show a city you don't recognize, but you feel at home. Your bag is light. Across from you sits a friend you haven't seen in years, and they hand you a postcard with one word on it: reduce. You wake with a clean ache. You write it down. You don't Google train dream. You don't tell yourself it's dumb. You look at your day and remove one thing that is only there to impress no one in particular. You drink water. You send the apology. You return to the project that scares you and work for 40 minutes. At lunch, you sit in real light for 6 minutes. That night, you sleep easier. The next morning, a different dream comes. There is no miracle, only momentum. This is the quiet revolution of working with dreams. Not spectacle, rhythm. Not certainty, companionship. You're adding a second teacher to your life, the part of you that knows something about you the daylight cannot know because daylight is loud. The curtain falls. We began with a question. Why do humans dream? The honest answer is plural. We dream to remember and to forget, to rehearse and to release, to invent and to integrate, to predict and to play. We dream because the brain is a theater and a workshop, and evolution learned that progress needs both. We dream because the day alone would turn us brittle, and the night alone would turn us unmoored. Between them, we stay human. But the answer that matters most is yours. You will make it by meeting your dreams with respect, by letting them influence your gentlest choices, by refusing both the arrogance of control and the passivity of indifference. You will make it by noticing that, across months, your nights begin to speak in a dialect you understand. Fewer chases, more doors, fewer spotlights, more water. You will make it by becoming the kind of person who pauses at breakfast, smiles at a sentence in a notebook, and thinks, with a private gratitude, that's useful. Tonight, again, the stagehands will wake before you do. They will check the harnesses, tune the strings, sweep the sawdust. The archivist will wheel out new scenes, the conductor will raise the baton. The playwright wearing your face, and the faces of those you love, and faces you have not yet met, will set down the opening stage direction. Enter you. The lights will rise on a room that does not obey physics, but does obey truth. You will walk onto the stage as the person you are and try on 1,000 variations of the person you could be. The audience will be empty and full. The show will be strange and kind, and in the morning you will bring back a line, a color, a small fish in a glass of water. You will set it on the desk of your life. You will work. You will rest. You will become. The curtain falls. The curtain rises. The theater is always there. Dream well.